So, you know that feeling when you're on a walk or in the car or in the shower and everything just makes sense? You feel inspired, you have a vision for your life, and you finally know what to do. Then you get home, you sit down, and none of that energy survives. It's just gone. So, in this video, what I want to do is explain why that's so common, to really feel this inspiration for an idea and then struggle to actually act on it. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the difference between vision and execution and why there's a gap there, and surface the three main patterns that stop people from actually following through. From there, I'm going to break down what you can do differently so you stop thinking that you're lazy and actually start building momentum on these great ideas that you have and the ideas that matter to you. So what we'll be covering is first the three blockers to execution and how to solve them. So the first blocker is called energetic expectations. And this is why execution feels worse than the idea and why reframing this really matters. The second thing is too many starting points. So this is why the paradox of choice keeps you stuck and why starting small matters so much. And execution blocker 3 is delayed action and growing doubt. So this is why and how doubt takes over and how to stop it before it stops you from actually executing. The first thing, I just want anyone that decided to watch this video to have some self-compassion, because the way we talk to ourselves matters, even when we are trying to improve ourselves. So give yourself some grace, because this pattern of being inspired and not actually following through is so common that I actually came across this meme where you just feel that you know what to do, that you're going to turn your life around, and then you don't again and again. The reality is most people don't understand the difference between vision and execution, because vision feels big and exciting. There are no constraints yet. You can imagine a finished project, a new life, and a version of you that does the thing. What happens here is vision gives you the emotional reward, all those feelings without any friction or ties to reality. Execution has limitation, uncertainty, and it exposes you. And imagination compresses that entire journey, all those steps, into that one moment of excitement when it's all done, while action brings it back into the boring, the visible, and those imperfect steps. Execution is different. It's small, it's specific, and it happens in real life with your current energy, your current fears, and your current limitations. So this is the gap where a lot of good ideas die. So that brings me to my first point, and understanding this is going to help. Execution blocker 1, energetic expectations. This is why the work never feels like the idea and why that matters. So again, vision, no limits, completely imaginative without ties to reality. Execution is grounded in what you know. Those are two different things. A lot of people fall in love with that spark, but not the work. Because in your head carries the energy of possibility. It feels exciting, expansive, and almost inevitable. But the second you actually try to do it, the process feels slower, flatter, and less magical than the idea did. And this is where people start to think that something is wrong. Like, maybe I'm not motivated, maybe this isn't for me, or this isn't my passion. And that's such a mistake, because a lot of time your brain is confusing the emotional high of possibility with evidence that execution would feel good too. And it doesn't, at least not at first. So the goal is not to wait until work feels as exciting as the idea, but to understand that execution starts in a different emotional state. And actually executing, what it does, it builds evidence toward that vision and gives you more confidence. Execution blocker 2 is too many starting points. So this is why overwhelm shows up at the beginning and how to reduce it. So the problem here is when you move from inspiration into action, you suddenly go from a really big vision to 100 starting points. And that is overwhelming, because the idea is big, but starting has to be small by its nature. When you have a vision, what you're seeing is the final product, but you have to think in steps and stepping stones. So instead of asking what's the smallest move I can make right now, people will ask themselves, what's the best way to do this? And this question kills momentum because people think they need the best starting path, but what they actually need is a path that reduces self-negotiation. In other words, something that gets them to actually start. So constraints are helpful here because they reduce escape routes. So instead of trying to create that full idea, reduce the amount of options. And when we say constraints, we're talking about what's something you can do in 10 minutes or in 2 minutes. You pick one small step, not the perfect step, just a step that gets the idea out of your head and you into motion. So the final execution blocker is delayed action and growing doubt. So this is how doubt takes over and how to stop it before it does. So the third problem is once you have that idea and it sits too long, your mind stops relating to it creatively, and starts relating to it defensively. So this is where that old identity kicks in, old evidence, old fear, and old stories. Instead of exploring the idea, you start judging it. This is your brain's default. Because instead of building something new and unknown and uncertainty, you go back into protection. You know how to analyze and you know how to criticize things. This is where doubt grows, and it's actually just very natural. So we have to actively realize and break past it. This is why speed matters and people tell you to act fast. It's not about being sloppy, but it's about creating enough proof before that analytical mind takes over and creates doubt. Because once you make a first ugly version, you're sending yourself a message that you're making progress toward your vision. So write that first paragraph and the idea is no longer a fantasy. It becomes real. And that really does matter. So you can look at it like this. You start with uncertainty, paralysis by all these options, and you become empowered by walking forward. You have clouded judgment because there's all these things you're saying is wrong, to clear judgment because you're actually putting proof and being able to see that. So what not to do? If this is your pattern, don't wait or expect that feeling of inspiration to feel the same. Don't sit there trying to choose the perfect move or spend 3 days thinking about whether your idea is still good. That's the loop that we want to break. If you keep feeling inspired but still can't start, it usually comes down to 3 things. 1, you expected the work to feel like the idea. 2, you gave yourself too many ways to avoid starting. Or 3, you let analysis replace your momentum. So here's your action plan from here on out. When you get an idea, when you get that spark, notice that, capture it, define the ugliest possible version, something that you could work toward and then iterate on. And then find yourself a constrained step. For me, it was finding that meme and making this video and writing down a draft. So then you start before your mood changes, and that is how you stop relying on inspiration and start building a bridge into action. So final note, if this is a pattern for you, don't make it mean that you're lazy or broken. Notice that it's a skill that you have to improve on. It's something that you haven't done because you haven't completely understood that there are different experiences between vision and execution. And once you understand this, things get easier. Okay, so I want to thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe. I make videos on identity, state change, and execution. And thank you for watching.